Our first speaker is Pablo
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. Just mess it up. Pablo will complete his project 2, Organize Your Speech. 6 months ago, Pablo decided to become a competitive road cyclist. Tonight, we will hear what Pablo learned through his transition into the exciting world of road biking. In his speech, Uber saved my life. Please put one together for him.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guest. A little under a year ago, I bought a road bike from a friend's neighbor for $500 so I could begin sprint triathlons. After 2 races, I decided to focus on road biking. Swimming was definitely not my strength. Running was okay, but I quickly realized biking was what I enjoyed the most, what I was strongest at. First thing I needed to learn how to do was ride with those clip-on pedals so it'll increase my speed. I had a hard time locking in at first, but eventually got the hang of it. My friend Todd came over to give me some pointers, and we went off to ride. We rode 15 minutes in the streets of East Mesa, and I remember going up Brown Road East, having a little incline, realizing how hard it was. At the end of the ride, I was winded, tired, but proud that I finished. I decided to try and ride by myself the next time. I got up early and was riding on McDowell Road, making a left on Greenfield, and BAM! I hit a pothole. I pulled over, and sure enough, I got a flat. I called my wife to see if she'd pick me up, but she didn't answer. I was about 3 miles from the house with those uncomfortable clip-on shoes. Another road biker rode up and said, "You need some help?" "Yeah, I do. I just got my first flat." "Got a spare tube?" "Nope." "Got tools? Do you have a CO2 cartridge?" "Nope and nope." "What do you have in that bag underneath your seat there?" "My keys, my wallet, my iPhone." "Well, lucky for you, I happen to have 2 extra tubes. I can give you one. Make sure you go get a few extra tubes, tools, and a CO2 cartridge. Oh, and always carry $20 just in case." After he was done helping me change my tube, I decided to ride home. Once I got home, I got my car and drove to the bike shop and bought all the things he recommended. I was now prepared for my next flat. I decided to try out a beginner group ride. I joined Performance Bike, and we rode around 25 miles over flat land. I learned a lot through these early group rides, including proper etiquette and how to ride in a tight pack so I don't freak out when their wheel's this close to mine. I also learned the egalitarian spirit of cycling, where everyone is trying to help everyone succeed. The 2 most important aspects I learned, though, was cadence and how to increase my speed using my shifters. Cadence is the rhythm and pace you are pedaling. After a few weeks of riding with the beginner group ride, I realized I was ready for more of a challenge. I tried a couple of intermediate group rides. First one was Performance Bike, which was a no-drop ride and really focused on climbing and riding 40 to 60 miles. Even though it was no drop, I felt really bad that they were always waiting on me. So I tried Two Wheel Jones, which was a drop ride. They were focused on distance and some climbing. The first one was a 35-mile ride where there was an A group riding at 20 miles per hour, a B group at 15 to 17 miles per hour, and I pretty much made it the C group, which was way behind. I realized I was somewhere between beginning and intermediate. I decided to ride on my own to build my endurance for speed and distance before I rejoined these group rides. After riding over 30 miles on each ride, I realized I was pretty stretched. It's time to look for a new bike. The gears and components on my bike were of good quality, so I could just transfer them to a new frame. I found an aluminum frame with a carbon fork and a carbon seat post, size 4, size 51. The original bike that I bought was a size 57. It was a little big for me, but hey, for $500, it got me started. With my new bike, I was ready to reach my new level in distance. I called my buddy, Chris McGrath. We knocked out 40 miles. At this point, I realized I needed a goal. I always wanted to ride the Tour de Tucson race in Tucson since I was a kid. So I registered to complete my first century ride of 104 miles in November. I started reading blog posts to focus on nutrition to lose some weight so I'm lighter on the frame. My breakfast now included steel-cut oatmeal, blueberries, and honey. I took Zip Fizz to add to my water to give me electrolytes and vitamins to keep me hydrated. I bought Cliff Bars for protein to stick in my back pocket for the middle of my rides. In May, my wife took a CPA test, and I took the day off to spend time with her when she was done. I decided to go do my usual 32-mile loop while she was taking the test in the morning. I was down on Guadalupe and Wrecker when, pop! My front tire went flat. I pulled over, got my tools, my CO2 cartridge, started changing the tire, and realized that it wasn't a tube. There was a slice in the tire. I didn't have another tire. So I started texting friends. No one was home, of course. I decided to try Uber. When Uber confirmed the ride, I texted the driver. I need to put a road bike in your trunk. Is this okay? They replied, that's fine. Ironically, the Uber driver was a retired CPA who drove a Ford Fusion to keep herself busy. In order to fit my bike in the trunk, I took both wheels off with the frame first, followed by the wheels. And off we went home. I was 15 miles from home, and for $14, Uber saved me. My next goal was to complete 50 miles and keep adding 10 miles to each of my longest rides, hoping to reach 80 miles by October. It's July and at times over 110 degrees. I'm waking up at 4 in the morning to go through my routine and make sure I'm on the road by 5 a.m. Finally, on July 25th, I finished 51 miles. I couldn't believe it. And my average pace was 14 miles an hour. Not fast, but getting better. On August 29th, I hit my next goal of 61 miles when it was 100 degrees when I finished at 10 o'clock in the morning, after 5 hours of being on the saddle. Here I am in September with a little under 2 months to the Tour de Tucson. I still can't believe I've already accomplished my mileage when I just started getting serious 6 months ago. I'm down 12 pounds. I've learned so much about biking and what I'm capable of. With each flat mistake, I learned something new. But the most important lesson I learned is always make sure my iPhone is charged. I never know when Uber can save me again. Mr. Toastmaster.